Good afternoon. This is your president speaking.
It's evening. Stop it.
Good evening. This is your president speaking. I'm running for mayor of Cobb County.
Oh my
gosh. See, this is like the 15th outtake.
We're not starting over, Pete.
Okay, fine. Then we're going to start over. So we are doing this video to fill out the story section on our website that you are currently viewing right now. Please, if you are on this website after you view this video, scroll down. You will see the registry. Click on that registry. That registry was dedicated to you.
Oh my God.
You and your giving.
Stop.
Sow a seed that will meet any need. But you need to know why you're sowing the seed. So here's the seed sowing story that comes to you right now. So
I do not endorse that message.
She doesn't. This is your president speaking. Michelle, get to the back.
Come on.
So back to the story. There's a story behind this laughter and this joy that we share together from the Lord. So the story goes, I have known Rita since I have been saved, and that was about 2.5 years ago. I knew her as a friend and a friend only. She was cool, but it just wasn't my style, wasn't my steez, you know.
Excuse
but
me?
Technically, that was while I was still half saved, because you know when you get saved, you still half saved because you just be in there doing whatever you want to do. But anyways, I digress from that point. So I known about 2.5, almost 3 years. I was in her small group. We were friends. I was talking to other people. She was doing her thing.
I wasn't talking to anybody. I was a holy saint.
Captain Holy over here. Don't see nobody. She was like Paul sitting around stewing to herself, waiting on me. You know
I
what?
was not stewing.
Yeah,
I was very happy.
Apparently he was. But anyways, so some time had passed. I had dated. I did my own thing. I spent some time with the Lord as a single person, which I suggest everyone does. We get to know the Lord. And during the transition to our new pastor, he actually challenged us to do a lot more prayer. I definitely did not pray as much as I started to pray once he came in, and he challenged us to pray a whole lot more. During that prayer time, I reached whole new levels of revelation with the Lord, far beyond anything that I ever thought was imaginable, stuff that I used to read in the Bibles. And I still read the Bibles, actually came to pass in my life personally through prayer. So during that time frame, something kind of weird happened. During that weird time, I started having these dreams of healing people, dreams of laying hands on people and they getting out of wheelchairs, blind people seeing, people dropping crutches, taking laps, hugging each other. It was a lot, and it was a lot for me to digest at the time. So after having those dreams and those visions, I used to wake up, pray about them. God used to show me more visions, because a vision is really when you're awake, but then God kind of showed you like a dream while you're awake, subconsciously. Read it in a book. That's how I figured that out. But anyways, during that time frame, in those dreams, which are like music videos, she was in there.
Pray, say.
She was in there, and I didn't know why she was in there. And as I was walking and praying and laying hands on people, she was a person that was walking beside me, holding onto my arm as I was actually touching people and
Like
being
this?
healed. He was kind of behind me, kind of holding onto my arm, sort of like that, but you wasn't beside me. You was like behind me.
Okay.
And I don't
was
think
that like this, like laying?
Nah, you was like one arm, but you was behind me. So like that. So you wasn't using that arm.
Oh, okay, like this.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
I never knew that.
Anyways, so I really didn't understand what that meant, because I had known this person for like a long period of time, and after knowing this person, I was like, I don't really like them like that. So why are they in my vision, in my dreams, Lord? And then,
to be clear, you like me as a friend.
Yeah, definitely that. You was like my BFF almost. Like, we was real cool.
We were.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you was just that person. I used to call you for prayer a few times. You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, back to the love story. So during that time frame, the Lord revealed unto me that was the person I was supposed to marry, which kind of freaked me out a little bit. So I asked why. It's okay to ask God why for clarification, because he will tell you. So then he proceeded to tell me that that was the person that he had designed for me to complete the purpose that he had placed me on this earth for. I was like, well, what purpose is that, Lord? At that point in time, he was like, listen, do step 1, and then I get you to step 3, 4, 5, and 6. So then I kind of rejected it for a minute, continued to pray about it, went back, kept having the same type of dreams, same type of visions when I would wake up and pray about why I was having those dreams. So then after that, what happened? I listened to a Bill Winston message. I had hyped myself up to say, you know what? If this is true, I'm going to just do it. Ain't that what you told me to do, Lord? So after I hyped myself up on Bill Winston message, I called him. At that point in time, I couldn't muster up the courage to do it. I kind of beat around the bush, asked her personal questions like, if you had something to tell somebody, could you give me advice on how to tell this person? Because I
need to tell exactly what you asked me. You said if the Lord told you to do something, but it seemed very crazy, or you really didn't want to do it, like, have you ever had a situation where it happened to you? And I did. It was a completely unrelated situation, but I gave you advice from my perspective.
Well, that's good. So she has a sharper memory of that conversation than I do. Going forward, we got off the phone. At that point, I went back into work, talked to the Holy Ghost, and said, I can't do it. Yeah, at that point in time, it was a nagging thing to me, so I went back to my car after I'd already took a lunch break. Boss, if you're watching, don't worry. I didn't take any more breaks that day. And then during my prayer time, I was like, Lord, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to do it? And at that point in time, he told me that I must trust him, that I must use that faith that I speak so highly of, and that I read in those books. And at that point in time, I was actually even talking to somebody, so it really seemed like super crazy unto me that would really be something that was happening. At first, I thought I was just tripping. And I was like, there's no way that this is going to work. I'm going to tell her this foolish story. She going to laugh at me. And then that's going to ruin our friendship. We ain't going to be cool no more. Then everybody we hang out with that we know is going to be real awkward. And then I don't know what's going to happen. So I don't really want to do it. At that point in time, he told me you can do one of two things. You can either do it your way, continue to flow the way you're flowing, live your life, and I bless you in ways that I can. Or you can do it my way, let me do it, and actually reach the full potential of what I called you to do. So I had to use my faith a number of times for not only myself, just on small things, but like jobs, money, clothes, stuff like that. But clothes? Healings for other people, jobs for other people, stuff like that. But to actually get to a point where you have to trust God with your entire life and your entire being, and that if you are not hearing from him, then that could actually ruin your life or cause a lot of chaos.
Big risk.
That was a lot for me to take in. So I went back to work. I went home. And then I sat there and I thought about it some more. And then I was like, you know what, Lord, I'm going to trust you. You ain't been wrong thus far, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it. So that's when I called, and then I just basically went through the whole spiel. I was like, hey, this is me, and I'm just going to tell you a crazy story. I know it's going to sound weird, and this is what it is. I told it to her, and then that's when she was like...
I already knew. So it's crazy because... as I guess he was going through all this stuff with the Lord, and the Lord was showing him things and speaking to him and him questioning God, I was kind of going through the same thing on my side. So I was living my life, not talking to anybody at all at this time. I've been single for a while at this point, and just really, really enjoying the Lord, just me and him. And then all of a sudden, it's like one day, I started seeing John in like a different way, and it kind of got weird to me. It was like, what is this? Like, because we had known each other, like he said, since he joined the church back in 2012. Yeah, 2012. And so we had been friends. We were going to the same small group. And that's it. I never, let me be clear, ever saw him in that way. I was not attracted to him in any kind of way. No offense. But I just, I never saw you like that, like, ever. So when this started happening, it was kind of like, what in the world is going on? That's weird. And so it got to the point where I actually had to pray about it, right? I had to have a serious conversation with God, and I was like, God, like, what is this? What does this mean? And he just started talking to me, and not that I heard the audible voice of God, but he started speaking to me and speaking to my heart to the point where I just knew what he was trying to say, and it was that John was my husband. But even though I had knew this, right, I also knew that the Lord was saying that there was nothing that I had to do to make this happen. All I had to do was rest in him, and if this is really what was supposed to be, that John was going to present it to me, or it will work out some kind of way, because again, like John said, he was talking to somebody. That's another reason. It was like really crazy to me. The very first time this even came to me, I was like, I completely wrote it off. The only reason I entertained it is because it just kept coming back. And then I had to get into prayer about it because it was like this nagging thing that it just kept coming back to me. And one thing that I knew for sure after, going to prayer about the whole thing, I knew that it wasn't me, number one. I knew that it was either God or it was the devil. It had to come from either one of those places because I knew it wasn't me and I knew this thing was real, right? So after I went into prayer about it, I knew that it was of God, but I also knew that there was nothing that I had to do to act on it. I just had to stay in prayer and that whatever would happen, right? So it got to the point one day where it was just really, really strong. And so I went and I prayed about it. And I'm like, okay, God, well, you're going to have to do something about this. And then literally days later, that's when John approached me about it. And he was like, I got something to tell you. You my wife. And I just think about it from John's side, right? Because you're hearing this stuff, or you think you're hearing from the Lord, right? But everything in the natural is like the complete opposite of that. Like, this makes absolutely no sense in the natural realm. Like, what do you mean? Like, what? And so for him to actually step out on faith like that, not knowing what I was going to say, I never gave him any hint that I already knew. Like, our friendship was just like it normally was. I never gave him any type of inkling that it was like that. And vice versa. He never gave me any type of inkling that was like that. So it was really, I didn't have to do anything because I knew that he was going to have to approach me because the Lord had already told me that. So it was really a step of faith on his part for him to be able to step out like that. So I really respect him because I know that you had to go through a lot with that. He had to speak with the pastor. 2 times. Go through a little counseling. But it's real. And we're just grateful that we did take the leap of faith and that it was the right thing to do. The thing that is important to realize is that God told both of us. So it wasn't just me, and I'm coming like, the Lord said, you my husband, and he like, what the heck are you talking about? And it wasn't just him, because I've had that before where God told me that he was my husband. I'm like, yeah, no. So the Lord told both of us. So number one, that's how we know it's real.
And at the same time.
At the same exact time, around the same time. And number two, it's not like this is the first time the Lord has been speaking to us. So if he's trying to tell you something, he will start with small things, and once you begin to know his voice and begin to obey on the smaller things, he will then work his way up to the bigger things. So this is a life-changing decision. So it's not something that the Lord is going to trust you with right away. So
that's very true. That's
my 2 cents. And this is not everybody's story.
No.
You know, this is not everybody's story. This just so happens to be our story.
One out of a trillion story.
But one of the things that I did when I first got saved and I first said that I was really going to give my life to the Lord is I gave him everything. I really said that, okay, God, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it the right way, and I'm going to trust you with every area of my life. Some of you know the story about how I quit law school because the Lord told me to quit law school. And so that was another way that the Lord had to lead me. We had to work up to those acts of obedience. But it's when you surrender, you decided you're going to surrender every single part of your life, you don't have to do anything. The Lord's going to bring every single thing and make it fall into place for you, including your mate, including your career or your ministry or whatever it is that God has called you to do. So don't just give him one part of your life and then say, okay, I'm going to deal with this part, my own stuff. I'm going to take matters to my own hands. I'm going to try to find my own husband or my own wife. Surrender everything to him, and he's just gonna blow your mind. I always gotta preach. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah. So I was looking at the time, right? It's like 15 minutes in. I'm like, yo, this is a mini documentary. They probably gonna pause this, walk away, came back, or even scroll down to that registry below and came back up. But yeah.
That's our story.
Is that the story?
Yeah.
That's the whole story?
That's it, right?
Alright, right.
Okay. This is getting too long. Thank you for watching.
And scroll down. It's more pictures.
Okay.
It's more pictures. I wasn't even gonna say nothing. Calm down. It's more pictures of the 3 scenes that we have from the photo shoot.